Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a time for the last panel discussion of this day. And the topic is Future Facing EdTech to Drive Teaching Learning Outcome. For this, I would like to call upon stage first our session moderator, Mr. Sanjay Diwan, Educator and Advisor, USME-DTU, Digital Ed, India and Positive Momentum. Educator and Advisor, USME-DTU, Digital Ed, India and Positive Momentum. With this, I would like to call upon stage our second speaker, Dr. Kamalesh VN, Pro Vice Chancellor, Madhav University, Raipur. Mr. Pankaj Jain, Regional Director, India Subcontinent, University of Technology, Sydney College, New Delhi. I would like to call upon stage Pooja Priyamvada, Academic Director, International Institute of Mass Media, New Delhi. Achal Chopra, Regional Head North, Academic and Government Business, LinkedIn. And the Dr. Anand Prakash, Associate Dean, School of Humanities and Social Science Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, for the topic Future Facing EdTech to Drive Teaching Learning Outcome, I am calling all the panel members one by one. So starting for the session moderator, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Sanjay Diwan, Educator and Advisor, USME-DTU, Digital Ed, India and Positive Momentum. With this, I would like to call upon stage Dr. Kamalesh VN, Pro Vice Chancellor, Madhav University, Raipur. Mr. Pankaj Jain, Regional Director, India Subcontinent, University of Technology, Sydney College, New Delhi. Mrs. Pooja Priyamvada, Academic Director, International Institute of Mass Media, New Delhi. Mrs. Achal Chopra, Regional Head North, Academic and Government Business, LinkedIn. Dr. Sunil Kumar Pandey, Director, IT and UG, Institute of Technology and Science, Ghaziabad. Dr. Anand Prakash, Associate Dean, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Chairman, Lingya Vidyapeeth, Faridabad. So with this, now we are going to initiate our last and the panel 5 discussion. So over to you, Sanjay sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We were missing for a while, but we were just in the coffee room having a cup of coffee. We thought everybody will get a chance to have coffee. Nevertheless, so we have an August panel here from one more lady is coming, and somebody from LinkedIn. There is Professor Kamalesh, who comes from Bangalore. Seasoned and experienced educator, professor, and has seen all the waves of education policies or how education, which is a nice flavor, technical university coming from the Pooja coming from the media side, not multimedia, media and journalism, and Director, International Institute of Mass Media, correct. Thank you for helping me correct it, Pankaj. Mr. Sunil Pandey is here from Ghaziabad, which is ITS group of institutions which have a very good big footprint in and around Delhi, and he is the director for IT and the undergraduate program. With the topic which says future facing EdTech to drive teaching and learning outcomes, I think there has been a great shift across the lives, across the business operations, and it is no different in the education where everybody is now looking at the outcomes both from teaching, from a perspective of the faculty, or learning outcomes as the students or the parents may be looking for when they get their children to be admitted as students in the higher education arena. As for myself, thanks for the introduction. I'm basically a consultant advisor to an Edtech company, as well as a guest faculty for the DTU, for the management school, teaching entrepreneurship, strategy, innovation, and marketing.
Sir, just a sec. May I add one of the speakers in your panel, sir? So, may I please invite Dr. Indranil Bose. He is the Vice President Academics and Head of Department and Professor Management, Adamas University, Kolkata. Can we have you on the stage, sir? Please join this panel. We are running panel 5. The topic for the session is the future-facing EdTech to drive teaching learning outcomes. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Fine. So let's welcome Indranil, and it's good to have a larger panel than what, because I understand one of the panelists, she's stuck in London, and due to rain, the flights got cancelled, but nevertheless, we are lucky to have a brilliant weather, and thanks to Ardercom to choose the right date for the event, ELSA 2023. If we look at the technology, how it has been touching the universities, how it has been touching the teaching and learning, it's been a great journey as a faculty and as well as an EdTech consultant advisor, that how we have imbibed with the COVID, the technology so quickly. The digitization, while it's happening in the country, education and learning has really picked it up very, very fast. I was not surprised to hear on the rainy day when one of the ladies, they were sitting across in the restaurant, they were talking about how a 7-year-old has to attend a class and a test at 5:30 p.m. on a mobile phone while the schools are closed. That's technology pervasive as well as enabling learning at all times for all students and all faculties to be sharing their program either live or on recorded over a Zoom call. So it's made it so convenient for the educators and the students to be connected all the time. We have seen the role of different apps that have come in, different technology platforms that have come in, and I was surprised to know one of the technology firms, Zoom, was giving a white label to the university, a platform where the student doesn't know, the teacher doesn't know, they're logging into Zoom, but then everything happens on it without any challenge, without any, all processes right from admission to KYC to right at the graduation and placement, facilitating the technology, facilitating all the processes. Digital Ed, where I come from, is basically an edutech company with a single pointed purpose to shape the world through digital online learning. Digital Ed specializes in the STEM program. Lot of courses are available. A lot of faculty content is available globally. Faculty content can be created here and used globally by the students. It's a wonderful platform for educators and students to come together. Not to be talking too much, I think we have a short and a very focused discussion, and we will keep adding what we need to do as collective educators. If we are looking at the global student experiences, there are experiences happening in India, there are experiences happening in Canada, US, Europe, Australia. So I think I will ask Pankaj to talk about what is it that is happening worldwide and how we can leverage it in India.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. It is an honor to be among so many experienced and academic panelists. I think the technology is changing a lot. Obviously, the Indian Prime Minister was in US, and the first person he met after landing was Elon Musk. So you can imagine Tesla coming to India. The deal was not being signed for last 2 years on the break they wanted. Then he met a lot of those semiconductor companies which have invested in India. AI chief also is mad, ChatGPT. Recently, I work for UTS, which is University of Technology, Sydney, Australia College. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Albanese, was also here in India. So we have been to the gift city, and 2 universities have started campuses in India. They will be starting campuses in India. So if you see the NAP, it is more of foreign universities coming to India, and it is the first 2 Australian universities opening campus in India in the gift city, which I went 2 weeks back to see. We as UTS College have done a transnational education tie-up as per the new NEP 2020. One is in Gujarat Law Society in Ahmedabad, one is in Premier University in Bangladesh. We have a campus in Sri Lanka. We are looking at tie-up in Nepal also. I'm going next week. So the scenario is changing. Like earlier we used to say middle class students are going. Now it is upper middle class service students are going. And obviously the rich business family, politicians, IAS officers, students are going. So I sit on the CIA Committee on International Education. Unofficially, the data is 30 lakh students go from India every year. Well, as per GOI data, it is only 9.2 lakh as per 2022 data, right? But the number is increasing. You can see so many education consultants, companies coming up in India. It's a technology boom in India. You can see every day some tie-up is happening, collaboration is happening. Google is investing in India. I was in Gift City. I was shocked. 122 companies are already existing in Gift City in Ghaziabad. So big boom for India, big times for India. And I think, back to Sanjay sir.
Thank you, Pankaj, for giving that perspective and how you are enabling some learning in India as well as learning in Australia. And it brings me to Professor Kamalesh, if I can, who has been now with this experience, I can say veteran of e-learning. He has seen all the facets and now all the cycles of development. When we talk of education 4.0, I'm sure he is the right person to tell us how the jump from 3 to 4 is happening and what will it do to the student, how will it benefit the students as well as the faculty.
Good evening, everybody. See, all our discussions are centered with national new education policy. I want to ask a question. How many of you in this platform worked for NEP? Anybody has worked for NEP? Please raise your hands. No. See, this concept of NEP, I've just, before answering my first question, I want to, most of you don't know what are the principles on which NEP is built up. Please, this is a fundamental thing to be known. 90% of the people who have started the education institutions, running and also working, they don't know. See, the only resource to this country is the human resource. We have other resources, but not to that extent what we have. We don't have fuel, we don't have petrol. The only resource is human resource. We differ from China in human resource. Population is there, but they don't have that much of human resource. LinkedIn madam should certify me that the number of biodatas, qualified biodata is from India, not from any other country. Do you agree? Yes. If a person can earn $1 a day at tax, either in the form of GST or in the form of income tax, we have about 1.5 billion population. So every day the country is going to earn $1.5 billion as a tax. This is possible only if you have a qualified human resource. The main core principle on which NEP started 10 years back, okay, was based on developing human resource. Number one. Now, NEP is implemented in schools and NEP is implemented in the higher education. School education, nothing, no improvement. I don't find anything, changes will be there. Only in the higher education, we can find some changes. Please note this, NEP is applicable only to 5 faculties. 5 schools. Engineering, humanities, science and technology. Okay. That is humanities, science, humanities, engineering. Medical, not applicable. Law, not applicable. All those courses which come under the council, except AICT or the dental council, no NEP is implemented. And most of the non-professional course other than engineering, NEP has been implemented. And the unemployment in this country was there only in these faculties. So, what NEP does is, let us make the entire learning process student-centric, not the teacher-centric or the institution-centric. They gave the flexibility of learning. The syllabus, etc., has to be restructured only to these implementations. They use the tool, very important tool is the choice-based credit system. But the government told that other faculties should follow the choice-based credit system. What they have done in NEP is, your formal education system is continued. They have fixed some credits. Along with that, they have added 3 types of courses. One is skill enhancement, second is the ability enhancement, third is the value-added courses. People from the morning spoke about skill enhancement course, skill. But none of their definition, I do agree, they did not question because I did not give them mic, otherwise I would question there itself, left and right. Skill courses, even a person who is doing BA or BSc should take up a skill course. What is a skill enhancement course? At the end of the day, if he take up that course, he should be able to earn some money. Need not be $1 billion, even $1. Bakery is a skill enhancement course. Even barber, you can learn. A lot of ladies are learning that something like related to barber and earning money. It's a skill enhancement course. So it all depends upon what are the skill enhancement courses he has to do. Skill enhancement is for filling the stomach. Next comes the ability enhancement. What is the ability enhancement? Ability enhancement course are related with the personality development. There are students who can't speak English language, so their soft skills has to be increased. Suppose there is a person who has a skill enhancement, etiquette has to be added. A lot of companies, if you LinkedIn person, if you agrees with me, are spending lakhs of rupees just to improve their etiquette. We saw, human capital. They are spending. Not only that, there are universities like Manipal, once the faculty is taken up, they spend around 2 to 3 lakhs on him. That's why they ask 3 years commitment. So, the ability enhancement courses is to make the personal development. See, yes, I have skill, I have ability. Is it okay? Says, if you think of psychology, the most intelligent and perverted people are the most dangerous to the institution or any organization. How to make them very useful? That is what they're saying, value-added courses, ethics and value-added. Morning, my chief guest gave a lecture and also an example. He did not tell the solution. Very simple, I went and told him, sir, you spoke everything, but you didn't conclude. We have to include value-added courses which speaks about ethics and values, which we are forgetting in the society. Why your language changes? So this is the crux of the NEP, and NEP never spoke about research innovation. Everything is restricted to the bachelor's degree. Masters and research is not telling anything. Now keeping in these things into picture, what tools we should suggest? Our discussion is regarding the tools and technologies to be suggested. So the tools and technologies depends upon whatever tools existing as on today may not be useful. It is left to the companies to come up with the new tools to add up all these things. And in fact, the University Grant Commission has fixed what is the number of credits. It is only 8 credits for ability enhancement, 8 credits for value added, 4 credits for value added, and another 8 credits for ability enhancement. So the tools and technologies what now is still pending at the very nascent stage. Okay, whatever tools anybody may suggest, it may not be fully exempted. So that any tools and technologies should implement all these things what they are telling it. It's still in the nascent stage. So I don't want to recommend any tool to anybody. It is a challenging to the industry to come up with the best one.
Thank you. That's very enlightening to hear about how the NEP was conceived and where we are today vis-a-vis what was even perceived but not implemented. But let's hear from Pooja ma'am about what is it that we've been talking about technology, engineering college, we've been talking of global. From mass media perspective, how do you see it different, the technology that you're adapting, and very quickly I think you people have been adapting using, leveraging AI, AR, VR, all kinds of technologies. So let's hear from you very quickly, and let's limit it to maybe 90 seconds or 120 seconds for benefit of everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I've been listening to a few panels, including what our chief guest said in the morning. Now, in media, unfortunately, we are, I think, the most fast-paced field in education as well as in industry. So we cannot wait for 10 years for a policy to change or for 5 years for technology to become redundant. Every day there's a new challenge for media. I think this is one industry which kept going on even during the pandemic. You were getting news, you were getting your TV channels. So for us, technology is an everyday thing. It is what we learn on the job. Now you see your AI anchors, right? I was just speaking to somebody. So a lot of our new students felt that there is no space now for human anchors and human reporters. But the fact is that to make an AI anchor effective, there needs to be a team of skilled human resources that makes that AI anchor effective, or that entire, what we call a news package or a program. So for us, tech is defined by the circumstances, by how, what are the new challenges for us. And in media, I think the integration between the industry and the education is far more integral than any other sphere, because for us, the need to educate is defined by the industry rather than the policy. So if today the channels have introduced an AI module, I need to train my students in it. Whether it is part of the government policy or not will be secondary. I'll need to bring in that new software or whatever tools they will need to fit into that new module of employment or to be relevant in the new trends in the industry. For instance, last few years only we've started teaching digital journalism, data journalism, which was not part of the traditional courses or traditional curriculum. Now for data, as we all know, it might sound as a very monotonous thing, but it needs to be done using a lot of technology. The amount of data or information that is there in the world and media has to process every day. Unless and until a journalist is trained in processing that data, they cannot get that story out. And we are used to keeping our deadlines, so I'll stop there.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja. That was sharp. And Professor Sunil Pandey, may I, you being a technologist as well as an educator and making everything happen for the university that you are at, leveraging the technology, the digital technology, or the edutech. Now with the advent of Chat GPT, how's the excitement at the university level, and what are the pros and cons to be cautioned from the parents or the students who are kind of the target customers for the university? How do you build the firewalls, or what it takes to really move on with the ChatGPT kind of generative AI?
Thank you, sir. Before actually coming on the question, because this is a very important question, and ChatGPT has come up something like a tool, not only for students, but for academicians also, which not only helps in the process of learning, number one, but also putting the things into a right perspective. That is on positive side. At the same time, I don't know what will happen in future, but definitely this is going to impact heavily the creativity. A week before, we have a practice of engaging students into some research activities or putting up some papers kind of thing. One of the students, he came up with a wonderful paper,
I asked him, have you checked the plagiarism of this paper? The plagiarism was 0%. You know, how it happened that you have written a research paper, you must have referred certain documents, and you have created something which does not have anything common what is existing on the internet. What he said, sir, first I typed the topic of my paper under the chat GPT, and I wrote the text, I want the contents for my research paper on this topic. After a few seconds, entire structure of the paper, that what kind of contents this paper can include, was displayed. He copied it into a Word document, and then from there, for each topic, he again started typing on the chat GPT and getting inputs from there. Now, what ChatGPT does, GPT 3.0 and 1.0 and 3.0, if you see the kind of feature extraction this ChatGPT does, it goes 178 billion features matching it does. Now, if it goes at such wide scale, we can understand the kind of random forest approach it takes while deriving the contents. And what it makes, it puts in a different perspective, it redefines the content, it prepares the content in an entirely different way, and means it presents the content, it takes from one place, it changes the content, and then put up in a way where it is really difficult to find whether it is copied from somewhere. So, in one aspect, it was good, because content which was entirely unique was created. But at the same time, it would have taken months to explore the kind of content, the applications, how actually it helps in the process of creativity, innovation. I'm afraid that in time to come, if plagiarism softwares are not able to identify the plagiarism, the kind of research papers or research work would be coming would really be challenging for us who have been in the conventional process. And I still remember when we started on our doctoral work, and I'm sure all of us who are sitting here will appreciate that we didn't have that Google Baba. I had to travel from Varanasi to Hyderabad because I heard from somewhere, my guide told me that if you want a paper on this, it's in Hyderabad, Usmania University has that kind of papers, and you can go there and refer. I had to travel from here to that place and then come back. And it took 5 to 6 years to...
Yes.
So, ChatGPT, of course, it's a tool which is going to be very useful, undoubtedly, but then it is going to pose lots of challenge, and probably that is the reason why I'm naming the companies. Company like Samsung had banned ChatGPT for their employees to use inside the premises.
Excellent.
So it had lots of challenges also, and it is coming up for different companies too.
Yes, as the companies, and more for students, because students you cannot be controlling, whipping. You can have firewalls on your university networks, but then there could be other means and ways. The mobile phones are there, the networks are available everywhere where they will be able to access it. Talking of technology, let's ask Anchal, how do you think are the tools and platforms going to really help get a better outcome in learning? And how do the teachers benefit or the faculty benefit leveraging some of the new platforms that are emerging?
Great. Thank you, Sanjay. It's such a relevant question. And I think what we all okay, is this better?
Yeah.
So I think what we are all discussing, which is, technology is inevitable. Whatever field or whatever stream of education we are teaching, we can't replace technology. It is there. In fact, I think higher education accepts it sooner or the better because industry is changing. And not only that, industry, even global higher education institutes are adapting to this change. And I think this is where Edtech roles come in, that, how Edtech can actually enhance a teaching learning process or can enhance adaptability of these new technologies. And this is where I feel we cannot ignore AR, VR, or let's say a digital learning platform, or let's say, a blended learning mode or a mode where our students are getting closer to industry. I think we are really discussing that education is one, at the end of the day, our students wants to be employable. So what can we do as higher education? One, we should first of all accept and embrace that this change is going to be there. We cannot say that my students cannot learn online. You have to, because you have to increase their capability, enhance and create a learning culture. You can't now have a salesperson. So I come from a sales and marketing background, and if I probably would not learn a new technology, new concepts, how to position my concept, nobody will relate with me. Hence, a technology enabler. So first thing, how can I have a better teaching learning process? My faculty should be adaptable. Secondly, we should also go by data. And I think since morning we are discussing this, that data is very, very important. We should know what we should be learning. I cannot just go about teaching digital marketing to an MBA student or maybe a email marketing. We need to understand the data, that if I want to be a business analyst, what are the roles available for my marketing students? Make use of data, make use of newer technologies, that today even for an MBA, new roles like business analyst or let's say a digital marketer, if you want to be, you need to know technology. You need to probably learn Python. That means you need to do Blend. You need to make your curriculum in a way wherein you are integrating value-added courses. I think sir very rightly said, NEP 2020 is also talking about value-added courses. All this because we can make our students employable. Again, it is boring for students. They don't like to learn now. So my faculty has learned it. We understood the data, but how do I process this to my student that I am in higher education? Right now, this is funded by my parents. Unlike foreign universities where you take, scholarships. How do I make him responsible? And that's where the challenge comes. And in India, I think, how can I have outcomes if I make it interesting for students? If I make it, so let's say I'll take LinkedIn example. I don't want to give long courses to my students. We ourselves don't want to watch YouTube videos, isn't it? We would like to watch shorts. So can I give something which is very bite-sized learning to my learners? Can I create community of learning? If I know that my peer in the class is actually learning something, why can't I learn it? Because he or she knows at the end of the day I have to be there in that similar interview. So how can I create a better teaching learning outcomes? I create a community. Again, if my faculties are learners, if my faculties are adaptable, they can create this culture. I can create small communities, technology is enabling. This is where I think, when it comes to real applicability.
I just thought I'll add
Please,
on
sir, do.
what Achal said. You have a very strong software called LinkedIn Learning.
Absolutely.
We as UTS University, UTS College, use it for our students, use it for our faculty
Very
and all. And we use it for LinkedIn Learning. It like courses come to us, though the point what you said is people are not keen to learn.
Yes.
But it comes as a reminder every month. So I've got 2 reminders pending from LinkedIn Learning to do. Free of, they charge something for the university,
So it's
but
a
we have.
subscription-based product,
Yeah.
but yes, that's a product, and I'm glad, sir, that you highlighted this. Again, the idea is that in India, probably this is new, but global, if you talk about Harvard, you talk about Macquarie University, UTS itself in, Australia, Singapore. We talked about, students going from India to global markets. I'll tell you what, in Australia, the challenges are, they would like to call Indian students to global universities. Why? I think as India, our business model should be that we need to retain our students. Why? So if a higher society student is going outside India, it's a business loss for me. Why they go outside? One, the country, they like it. Secondly, they feel I have better opportunities, which is very different. Give them technologies here in India, collaborations, and they will be here with you.
Thank you, Achal. And we have Indranil here, who's coming from the management side or the management education. So how do you see the blending of online learning, classroom learning, because management is an area, engineering, content creation is a challenge or is limited. In management, there are a large number of, plethora of apps available, resources available, Harvard, Wharton, ISB. So there's whole lot of spectrum available. How do you see the future of management education leveraging the technology?
Okay. I'll be sharing with my some personal examples. I am working in this place, my present workplace, for last 1 year. So I have a long experience of working with the UK universities for last around 10 years. So in Dubai and in UK. So I have seen, worked with University of Wolverhampton, University of Bolton, University of Lincoln, all these places as a faculty, and I was the Dean of School of Business, University of Bolton, UAE campus. So I have seen how they use the technology and what is the difference between us and them. Now, when I was working with the Bolton, because I was in the strategic position of the particular campus, so I'm just telling you, they have around 11 international campus operations across the globe, apart from their UK operations in the Greater Manchester. Now, say one thing they always say, and not only them, all the international campuses of all the UK universities, that say wherever they are offering the program, whether it is in Malaysia or it is in China, it is in Greece, it is in say Germany, everywhere, in UAE, in Oman, wherever. Now, point is that they want the standardization of the same standard of the teaching and learning process across the globe, because their degrees, their transcripts, their certificates all come from UK, and they have a process of the internal moderation, external moderation, and all these things. But they use the technology in such a way. I'm just giving one example. Say University of Bolton is the part of the BISTO network. BISTO network is the UK's largest online library. Almost 56 universities of England, they are the part of that. You can, if you have the access to that particular BISTO library network, you'll be having some of the best dissertations, research papers, student assignments, everything there. So any student there, they actually have the access there. Now the second one is that I'm telling you, say when they're using the technology used for a better student-specific, individual student-specific feedback. That's very important for them, because they are maybe only 20 to 30% of the management assessment is coming from the examination only. 70% is coming from the assessment, and assessment is very serious there. Assessments are created, their assessment plan is something different than us. They have the merit distinction and all these things they have. And student can attempt the distinction, may not attempt the distinction also. Ultimately, that will be reflected in their transcripts and their results. Somebody has passed MBA with the distinction. Somebody has a passed MBA with the merit, like that. Okay, they have the assessment criteria, they have the, say, this learning outcomes, all these things are there. They're all mapped actually. Now, when you are using the software like Canvas, like Moodle, all these things are there, so we have to give the detailed feedback, why somebody has been given the merit on particular answer. Why somebody has been given the distinction on some answer, like that. And they have in their entire assignment brief, it's a brief, big one, 16, 17 pages, I'm telling you, in detail. So it is not like 1 pages. And this assessment brief has to be approved, internally moderated and externally moderated from the UK. So it's a very detailed process actually. So when you are giving the students a feedback, we are writing in detail, and so it is a future is very bright there. They are using this technology for last 15, 16, 20 years. We have started recently in that way, definitely. Okay, because maybe their class size is small, one of the reasons is this. Maybe in a campus of the MBA program of UK, in my university was 27, 28 students. In India, I have to 120 students, like that, 18, 19 students. So we cannot or may not use the technology either way that they are doing it, the first one, number one. Number two is that, see, something different we can do here also. Yes, here we're also using some other technologies also, definitely here we're doing it. And so thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Indranil. I know we are running out of time. We need to give we get fair views from others also. And I'll come back to you. Maybe let's do a very quick 1 minute, one and a half minutes of spiel by each of you. Looking at the topic, future-facing EdTech to drive teaching learning outcomes. What are those outcomes are we as a university management, as technology providers, or these two hats that all of us are wearing, what is it that we see or we will be able to contribute? What are the two things that will make the learning outcomes get better than they are today, looking at the technology which is available? Let me start with you, sir.
Sir, in education sector, there are 3 stakeholders: students, institution, and industry. Institution includes teachers, management, everybody. See, the teaching learning outcomes, only the institution knows the teaching learning outcome, neither the students nor the industry. In fact, University Grant Commission and AICT insisted that one should conduct a 15 days induction program like that. But none of the institution is spending time on that. Unless until student understands what is the outcome he has, because he is the one who has to come, teacher or the institution, it remains stagnant. Students are the one who is going to the industry. The industry and students should clearly understand the concept and outcomes to be clearly mentioned. So, in this perspective, I insist that to have a 100% efficiency, these two sectors should work properly.
Thank you. Now, Pooja.
So yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about outcomes, but because one of my areas of teaching education is also mental health, so I'll bring that in. Now, there is a lot of technological stress that our students are going through. We are talking about a lot of rosy things, but there is a huge digital gap in India. If there is one phone in the family, it will not be given to the girl child. And we've seen a spate of suicides during pandemic because children could not access their exams or their classes. So when Edtech has to think about global education, as Anshul pointed out, and the other all changes, new revolutionary changes in education, considering the outcomes that the industry expects us to put up with, we also have to go back to the society with a very humane angle and also look at the other intersections like gender, like class, quota, for instance. I teach disability competencies in medical colleges. 30% of India's doctors are depressed themselves. I did a story for Financial Express on that. And half of my classroom doesn't want to be doctors. So all of education needs to be looked at very holistically. It's very good to use tech as tools. I'm happy that there are a lot of edtech companies that are integrating a mental health support or a mental health component into them, and that would be my input. That whatever technical advancement we are looking at, we need not forget that students and teachers and everybody involved are humans, coming from a particular social setup which is complicated, and that context needs to be addressed. Thank you.
So the teaching learning outcomes, in fact, it has always been a debatable topic. Because from academic perspective, the teaching learning process, outcome, it's something what a student is expected to achieve or attain once that particular course is completed. Now, if we leave here, and then I would like to just quote the minutes of World Economic Forum, which held in Doha. We all know that in World Economic Forum, there is one dedicated session where leaders of global companies, edtech companies, all technological companies, they come together on a common platform, and they try to understand that in what direction the future is heading towards. How the technology is going to evolve, and what kind of resource would be required in 3 to 5 years down the line. Where the very interesting thing, the Deloitte recorded all those discussions, and they came up with the findings that in next 3 to 5 years' time, the 52% of existing deployed resource will be outdated if they do not reskill themselves. And that reskilling further, they classify that around 36% people would be required to go for a training which will be between 3 to 6 months' time. Around 32% people would be required to go for upskilling or reskilling training for 6 months to 1 year. And rest of the people would be requiring training for more than a year. Now, that relates to this teaching learning outcomes. Because NASSCOM did the same thing, mentioning that around 62% employed resource will become irrelevant in 5 years down the lane if they are not reskilling. And very interesting thing, many people have said that AI, machine learning, all these things are going to take the job from the human resource. Very interesting fact they came up with, that if all the companies across the globe, they start automation simultaneously, there would be 6.5% growth in existing jobs for next 5 years. Not only this, the $3.5 billion additional will be added to current revenue. Means there are huge requirements. The only thing which is required to stretch the academia to match the expectations. At the same time, industry can't leave academic institution on their own just by the mentioning that this is what is required and academia is not able to bridge the gap. So this is the time when everyone, both the sides, needs to stretch themselves and create an ecosystem where technology plays its best role in creating engaging classrooms. Means a classroom becomes an engaging place, happening place, and that will create an ecosystem where actual learning will take place.
Thank you. I think you brought up a very important point about industry requiring reskilling and skilling and upskilling. And for institutions, it becomes an opportunity to collaborate with the industry, academia and industry collaboration, how they can preempt and or be proactive in developing the right skill courses, adding value, like Professor Kamalesh said, adding those value-add skills is really going to be critical, and it's a moving target that all of us as academia and industry see it. Let's hear from Aanchal about LinkedIn is also for jobs, right? LinkedIn is also for jobs. So looking at job trend and looking at the academia or the content that is there, what are the gaps and how really LinkedIn is proactively trying to help in the academia bridge the gap between industry and academia?
Okay. So I think Sanjay very rightly again, LinkedIn is the platform where professionals are. I think we talked again during the day that there are 900, and I'll give you certain statistics, how we are actually bridging this gap. And this is what we touched upon in the morning. There are 900 million members on LinkedIn. In India, this number is about 130 million members. There are 57 million companies on LinkedIn. These companies hire on LinkedIn, and I have on an average about 15 million open jobs available. There are 38,000 unique skills, which is what we call skill taxonomy. What I mean by that, if today I want to be a software engineer, there are 20 roles which are required, 20 skills which are required. So as LinkedIn, we know that what are the unique 38,000 skills available for all the job roles which are there in the market. Now, what are we doing? Or let's say, what is the aim? I'm going to tie it back to what is the teaching learning outcome. Outcome, what we need is economic independence, isn't it? Why we go to college, the number one objective for any student is I want to be economically viable. I want to earn, whether in a form of a job or in the form of my entrepreneurship. Now, as an Edtech or as data, where LinkedIn is one bridging the gap, we give power of this data in the hand of higher education institutes to understand where the market trends are going. Why I talked about these trends are because LinkedIn again has products wherein I can give you data to tap where this industry is going, understand and create your teaching learning process accordingly. Now, how to create that outcome? I knew now what is to be there, what is to be taught. But again, in industry, we call it as a Kirkpatrick model. Every teaching learning should have a productivity outcome. That's why we talk about upskilling and reskilling. As LinkedIn, when I'm talking about the teaching learning outcomes, we feel that when my students are learning, what skills they are adding onto their LinkedIn profile or what skills they have developed. I think that's the outcome, and LinkedIn is also kind of...
Absolutely. That's very helpful for the students to really align and do a validation check. Are they on track or what is new, which is happening? Look at the peers and look at what's happening in the industry. Let's ask Indranil before I come to you, Pankaj, about how do you see, you given us examples of UK and other places, but coming to India, teaching learning outcomes, how can we be more ready for it? What is it that needs to be done?
So actually, sir, in management, education, MBAs, we have seen program outcome and learning outcome. We actually map both the things. When we go for the learning outcome, basically 3 learning outcomes are traditionally considered important in management: education, critical thinking, problem solving, and this kind of decision making. So these are the main 3 things which is required for any management graduates, whatever role they are playing from whatever type of institutions they are passing out. So based on all those things, we are using other Bloom's taxonomy, other things, I mean, as a process of all other, now even in the, as per the UGC NEP and other things, this is being practiced widely in India also. This is a very important thing. Then program outcome is also the part of the learning outcome. Now program outcomes are basically when you are studying different kind of programs, say UG level programs, PG level programs, post PG level programs. So different kind of outcomes are there, and that depends on type of the courses we are offering, the particular context in which the course is offering, something like that. So this is the way we actually function. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now looking at teaching learning outcomes, Pankaj, Jain, will you be able to tell us that what is it that's happening in, say, QT, in your colleges overseas, your experience of UK, Canada, and Australia now? So what is it that we can pick up as best practices, or possibly take some of the practices from India to the global world?
So I think most of the foreign universities have a very different style of teaching because we focus more on self-learning. So the lecture notes are available before. Now you have Noodle, you have Canvas and all those softwares which are available. So the notes are available to the student before, and the professor expects that the student studies before he comes to a class. In India, we still teach in the way that we are delivering, the professor is delivering, and we are listening, we are writing notes, and 2 days before the exams, we are just cramming up and giving the exam and just passing it. Like I'm an engineer from DIT and sir is from DC. So this is the way how we passed in 88, 92. And when we went to MBA in UK, I did my MBA from University of Leeds, the style of teaching was very different. So when we did I remember my marketing exam happening, and we were thinking how Professor Jim Lynch taught us what was Lewis Jeans doing in branding, how they compared, how they beat the market, and the video he played, and then I wrote the answer. So I think the same way our UTS University, Australia, a lot of other universities do the same way, that we focus that the student has done self-learning, he improves. It is not like things are given spoon-fed to him. For example, Edtech, students are getting very confused these days. I am meeting a lot of students, and we were just discussing with Natasha Madam also from Chopra Consultants, that you have AI, you have Edtech, you have blockchain, you have robotics, you have gaming. And I was in Ahmedabad last week, and the parent was after my life, sir, I want IT. You are giving me computer science. You are giving me computer engineering. I said, everything is same. 20 years back, the faculty was only called Faculty of Computer Science. Now it is Computer Engineering. Now you have called it IT, because IT is a very simple word to say. For example, Modi ji went to US, he made AI is artificial intelligence, so America, India ban gaya. So people use very short words, IT. Ab IT is what? So Edtech has become, taken a very different role. Like, for example, sometimes you will say digital marketing, sometimes you will say social marketing. So I think what Anchal also said, ultimately the student is looking at what is my job, what is the salary I get, what is my employability. If the faculty, obviously like professors are very learned, they teach us, and grateful to them for all the things they have done, and we have grown because of them. Ultimately, the student want to hear what you are doing, but they want jobs and salaries.
Yes, I think brilliant last question, and just to summarize, what is becoming essential is when we have technology, there should be analytics. There should be information which can be leveraged by the students and the faculty, and there would be hopefully more collaboration to make the student understand and grasp what are the credit scores, what is it he needs to do additionally. Then he has to just be given an access where he can do flipped learning, he can do learning in the classroom, he can learn on the go, and that's the future that technology should be able to provide us. And while all this is happening, we know that in India it is very critical to have controls and interventions where there is governance for in this overall system, and there is outcome that is not getting outcome or the end result is not getting getting into a problem area. Coming to the future, if there's automatic grading, robotics, AI, ML, everything coming together and giving us, this is your grade. And all of us here today would have got our grades coming up, flashing up on this instead of time's up. They would have been saying, A, B, C, D, speaker, these are your grades. So thank you, everybody. And thank you for being patient, audience. We spent little over time. And if there are any quick questions, if organizers say we have time, we will be happy to take your questions. We have time for questions, or we?
Questions?
Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
Somebody can take the mic.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that very interesting discussion and some very useful points made. I'm Natasha Chopra. Our company is TC Global, also known as the Chopras. It's great to hear about all these ways of empowering people in the new age and so on. There's a lot of focus on the technical skills and skill development. There's a lot of focus on the value that we're talking about. There's a lot of focus on soft skills. You know, I feel there's something that we actually, as Indians, have within us, and an education that has been with us, which is not being talked about, and it should be far more broader, which is about the skills. The self skills meaning about learning about the self. Unless we learn about the self, and these comes from our Vedas and so on, that actually is essential, and we're not using that education that we have had to actually take it forward. I want to just give you a little example. If you
It's a good question. The biggest mistake happened to this country is Macaulay coming to this country. He went through the entire country and told idiots, please change the education system, otherwise they will rule you one day. We had everything once upon a time. Now, this NEP, that's what they're telling, they're insisting on value-based education. That includes learning, self, everything.
But there's still not enough of focus
No,
on
the government is insisting
so
to...
that was 150 years ago.
Yeah, now they're implementing it. Compulsory, 8 credits in full degree program.
Okay, so that actually needs to be taken
He has
forward
to
by the corporates.
Otherwise, degree will not be awarded.
All right, thank you.
Anyone who want to question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, before that, I think I left one point which Pooja very nicely mentioned about the challenges that the society is going through in this digital learning, while they do not have it in their hand, the young girls and or family members. So I think that's an area that all of us need to work at. How do you enable the society to be also digitally ready to take those courses or take that learning, while we are here talking of higher education where the challenge is not there, but then there are those pockets where we must look into. Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I'm highly appreciative of all the panelists for reflecting on the concerned issue. Well, in recent years, there has been an overemphasis on industry connect. It seems we are becoming slave to meet needs and requirements of industry or industry's requirements. See, I do agree that new challenges require new initiatives. And in meeting these new initiatives, somewhere, as the previous question was covered as part of that, somewhere we are deviating from the real purpose of education. Today's education is simply producing an army of degree holders. It is not producing humans, I will say. education is not just an accumulation of knowledge, it is also a triveni or trinity of knowledge, sanskar, and sanskriti. If you look at Veda's perspective or Indian knowledge system, it says the real purpose of education is sa vidyaya vimukte, means a true education is one that liberates you from sufferings. But today's education multiplies suffering. It is attaching you with sufferings. So this is my first-hand impression to all of you that both university as well as industry needs to be educated to understand the societal needs, which is somewhere we are missing. So this is for your reflection, sir.
Sure.
Thank
What's
you.
your name, sir?
Actually, I am Professor Jha from MIT University. I am Director of Liberal Arts over there.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Yeah, I think your thoughts are very appropriate, and Madam Chopra's thought is very appropriate. While, as Professor Kamalesh said, many years ago, many decades ago, century ago, we have moved away from our basics of Vedas or Gita and all the mythological teachings and books that exist. But this time has come where I think this spirituality is connecting the Indians have that advantage over the world once again, and I'm sure with thought leaders like you, India will see a different future, will see a different way forward while we talk about using the technology for A, B, C, but then today if you go for for mental health or mind games, there's so many things that are coming up and people are doing it in a very, very sporadic or a spread out manner. Time has come, possibly somebody like you, a thought leader from the liberal
Just
arts.
as part of your information, sir, we have implemented 3 credits universal human values given by AICT. This is just for your information. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Right.
just if you give me a minute. This is the bitter truth, what you brought out here on this forum. Before that, ma'am, as sir had mentioned, that the NEP 2020 basically focusing on 3 different perspectives. The first is to connecting to the roots, the objective is the skill orientation, where that employability aspect, it is not talking about employment, but employability aspects. And the yoga, meditation, this is also a part of it. But the unfortunate part is, and sir, what will happen when a student of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th class goes to school? His school creates a WhatsApp group. On that WhatsApp group, the result of all entire class is shared, and parent starts talking that, hey, see that chap of your class has scored 100%, and you are just hanging on 95%, 96%. Now that peer pressure, the pressure from family is probably taking from the right objective of education towards somewhere where we are not able to foresee the future. And that's where you look around, whether you look here in NCR, whether you go to Kota, the factory where actually it is considered that engineers are being created. Day before yesterday, 2-3 days back, we saw the case of suicide, and it is happening regularly. So this is a collective responsibility. NEP proposes all this, but how much institutions and as an individual we are contributing in its implementation, that is one thing. So to add to that, I will share very interesting thing. In one of the university, to become a university which takes advanced topics of technology into the core curriculum, it added one subject, data warehousing and data mining. No faculty was available. And what happened? The faculty who was teaching database management system, since data warehousing includes this word data, database management system, the same faculty was asked to teach this subject, go through the subject, prepare it, and teach it. Now, I as a teacher study something, I understand 50%. When I go to class and deliver, our students are getting 50% of what I have given. So ultimately, the things, objectives, planning, proposals may be word class, but until unless something happens on ground where each of us are responsible, I don't think much happening on ground.
I think the last thing I could say is we should start a subject called Art of Giving, following Ravi Shankar's Art of Living, which we have officially recommended to CII, to Niti Aayog and Ministry of Education also. So maybe next 2-3 years you will see a subject called Art of Giving instead of Living.
Let's hear from Professor Kamalesh.
See, I would like to tell you one thing. NEP has a very beautiful, thanks for the, I'm not thanking my Prime Minister or anybody, I'm thanking the team which has worked for NEP. There is, students is not bound to take all the courses from the same university. Now, he can go out to any university. It is a threat to my friend from Australia. He can go to any university and take any course. If he is interested to take a course from, no. If you want to take from Ravi Shankar course, he can take there. But at the end of the day, from that institution or university which is awarding the degree, he should have 50% of the credits. Other 50% of the credits, he can take it from anywhere globally, online or any other mode. This is the beauty of the education system. This is the only country
So just
which
to
has
add,
given a best
that
thing.
50% also has been reduced now. You can do ABC from any universities. If you want a university from a parent university, there you have to do minimum 50%
Yeah,
credits.
that's what.
But if you want to do from multiple universities, 10 universities, then you can do for 10. You get a degree from
This is the
IGNOU under
best
ABC.
and ultimum education system for the flexibility of anybody. They can want to do Veda, they can do. They can want to do Quran, they can study that from some other university. If they want to do Bible, they can study from other university. If you want to do mathematics, you can take up one course. Doctor can take a mathematics course. Anything. 50%.
Just,
No, we can
it's-
do it right now.
it's more, it's not a question, more a kind of sharing that I would like to do. I am glad that this point came out towards the end of this today's summit. Just to share, I come from Atmi University, Rajkot, which is in Rajkot, Gujarat. And I'm glad to share that since 2016, we are following a unique Atmi's model of education, where our curriculum is primarily designed on 3 main pillars in developing the capability of a student in terms of Vyavsai, which is earning livelihood, what we call career progression, Vyavhar, which is behavior, in terms of relations in family, relations in workplace and with nature, and the third part is Chetna Vikas. In this journey of around 7 years, we are trying to integrate this in our mainstream curriculum, and we are glad that we could find those reflections in NEP which was released in 2020 also. This is just an humble sharing with all the dignitaries present.
Excellent, sir.
So you are from Marwadi University?
No, sir, Atmi University.
Okay,
Same,
I
it's
just
in the
thought-
same city.
I
Yeah.
thought you are from Kamalesh Mishra's university, who is part of the ABC under UDC. जिन्होंने academic bank of credits बनाया under UGC, Professor Kamalesh Mishra, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you so much, everyone. And I request Mr. Chandan sir to kindly proceed for the felicitation. After felicitation, we can do the group photo. So first, we are felicitating Mr. Sanjay Diwan, Dr. Kamalesh VN, Mr. Pankaj Jain, Pooja Priyamvada, Ms. Aanchal Chopra, and Dr. Anand Prakash. And the Dr. Sunil K.R. Pandey.